first of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us this afternoon in what I think is a very, very important meeting. As the co-chair of the Los Angeles County Interagency Council on Child Abuse and Neglect, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the ICAN Policy Committee meeting. It is also my honor to welcome our new ICAN co-chair, District Attorney Nathan Hochman. And returning, and no stranger to ICAN, is the old but new Los Angeles Police Department Chief Jim McDonnell. And I've known Jim for many, many years, and I don't know if there's anyone out there who's as big as that, an advocate for children in Los Angeles County, Jim, as you are. So it's good to have you back. Very good to have you back. Why are we here? We're here today because every child in Los Angeles County matters. We are here because we are concerned about our children and want to do everything that we possibly can to protect them. This is why ICAN is so important. It is the official organization of Los Angeles County dedicated to the prevention, intervention, and treatment of child abuse. It is globally recognized for its innovative approach, uniting various agencies to tackle the most complex, severe, and preventable harm to children. And I really do hope you stick around, because that's what you're going to see in this room, the conversations, specifically when everybody introduces themselves. It's everyone who comes together for the benefit of our children and families. As sheriff, I recognize that child abuse is a crime that underpins a range of social, educational, health, and mental health issues. It is important, its impact extends deeply into the quality of life within all of our neighborhoods and communities. The cycle of abuse is evident. Children who are hurt may grow up to hurt others. I know that many of those incarcerated in our jails carry unsolved or unresolved trauma from abusive childhoods themselves. It is no surprise to me that the ICAN Child Death Review Team found that nearly half of the individuals responsible for fatal child abuse were once victims themselves in the DCFS system. I believe that protecting our children is one of the most powerful ways to prevent future crime. It is clear that offering families access to community resources, mental health treatment, personal support are essential foundations for preventing harm to our children. No child or family should ever be brought into the child protection system due to poverty, racial background, or a lack of community support. However, ICAN's primary concern is ensuring the safety of children, which we can achieve through collaboration and strengthening community support. Today, ICAN is releasing 3 comprehensive reports. 1, the state of child abuse in Los Angeles County. 2, the report of the ICAN Child Death Review Team. And 3, the report on safely surrendered and abandoned babies. Also presented today are committee recommendations for policy and practice. Among other concerning findings, we are reminded of the profound impact domestic violence has on our children and the devastating effects opioids have on parents and children of all ages. The reports presented today are comprehensive and reflect the insights of those with firsthand experience and professional experience and expertise in every field impacting the lives of children and families. The work of these teams, committees, and campaigns have played a critical and crucial role in saving children's lives. With that, now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce my co-chair, the District Attorney of Los Angeles County, Nathan Hochman.
Sheriff, it is an absolute pleasure to be a co-chair with you on this incredibly important organization, this policy committee. One way you can judge whether or not a particular organization should exist is if you would actually form it if it didn't exist. The Interagency Council on Child Abuse and Neglect, ICAN, is that agency. One of the markers that in studying it and learning more and more about it, as I encourage each and every one to do, is just seeing the rate of decrease of child homicide in the last 30 years because of the important work that ICAN has done. It's a 73% decrease in child homicide. There is almost no organization in society that can claim such an important decrease on the ultimate situation that affects young people, which is certainly homicide, as a 73% decrease. And Sheriff, while certainly I agree that Chief McDonnell here is one of the biggest protectors of children, as are yourself, Sheriff, I would say the most impressive person I've come to meet when it comes to protecting children is the executive director of ICAN right here, Deanne Tilton-Durfee. She's amazing, and she has dedicated her life and her energies to making sure that ICAN does this important work. And not only does this work, but does it in a collaborative, unified method. Because it's not enough just to bring in law enforcement to go after the child abusers and to send that deterrent message to the child abusers that if you go ahead and engage in this type of child abuse or neglect, or you engage in bringing drugs, particularly fentanyl drugs, into our children population that has led to it being the #1 killer of 18 to 35-year-olds, and certainly one of the leading killers of children under 18, that law enforcement will be part of it. That is part of the solution, but not even close to actually achieving real goals that ICAN has achieved. So it is truly by not just bringing law enforcement, but by bringing all the other organizations that you're going to hear about today as they make their reports together in the pursuit of doing our best to eliminate child abuse and neglect in our county, that ICAN has had true and real success over the over 30 years of its history. So again, it is an absolute pleasure to be here as the co-chair of this particular meeting, and I'll turn it back to the Sheriff.
Thank you, Nathan. You're a great partner, and I'm looking forward to the work in protecting our children here for the next several years. With that, Nathan mentioned her name, but I would like to now introduce ICAN's Executive Director, Deanne Tilton-Durfee, and I've got to tell you, there's a lot of great people in this room, but she is the heart and soul of what we do as we move forward. So Deanne, on behalf of every family, every child in Los Angeles County, I again want to thank you for all the work in putting this together and all the work that you do every day. And you push us to our limits, and we love every minute of it. So Deanne, the mic's yours.
Thank you. I'm a little flummoxed by all those wonderful comments, and I appreciate them so much. And I do want to emphasize that ICAN is a team. It isn't me. It is a team of wonderful staff, wonderful volunteers, amazing committee chairs, and standing with me now is law enforcement royalty and royalty in protecting our communities from fire and crime and abuse. And maybe I should say in particular, what has enabled me to be able to lead as I do the teams and the committees and the conferences is the support from the chairs. This last 3 years, Sheriff Robert Luna has been totally supportive from day one of his election to this office, and without that, we wouldn't be able to be here. And I can't help but revel over the return of Chief Jim McDonnell. He was the chair of ICAN for 4 years, and we were sorry to lose him, but wow, fate brought him back to us. So I'm going to provide some findings from our reports, but then I would hope that Chief McDonnell and also Chief Marone, our intrepid firefighter, the head of the legions of heroes who saved each of us during the month of January from the storms and the wind fire. So today, our work experience and our research are sad realities of how vulnerable children can be. Children whose lives are ended before their first birthday because of inflicted injuries or by a caretaker who wants to love them and care for them, but unintentionally suffocates them in their own bed or in a cluttered crib. We reviewed troubled adolescents giving up on life and children traumatized by witnessing the violent death of a family member. More importantly, today we report on how we can make a difference, what can be done in response to all this information, this huge amount of information we're releasing today, and the challenges that we identify. Finally, this child abuse is a system-wide issue, a community-wide issue, a neighborhood issue, and a personal issue. And it has impacted many of us personally, many of you. We all know that child abuse, which was America's greatest kept secret for so many years, has come out and been made real by the people willing to talk about their own childhoods. So I am going to provide some brief findings of the reports. Now, these 3 reports are available today. They're inclusive, they're unique in the country. One of the reports is 361 pages, the state of child abuse in Los Angeles County, so we're going to try really hard to get to the core of that a little bit, but I want to say it is amazing that 17 agencies went to the trouble of providing us with information on everything that they do, every child that they respond to in the child protection, in the child support system. So here we go. In 2023, 197 children under the age of 18 died from homicide, suicide, accidents, and undetermined cause. 6 children died at the hands of their parents or caretakers. Biological fathers were the primary perpetrators in the child abuse homicides, and more than half involved domestic violence. As the district attorney said, the 6 children is a number at an all-time low. In 1991, we had 61 little kids killed by a parent or caregiver. Last year, we had 6. And it looks like the year before that we've continued this for another year. So that's a huge accomplishment. But I want to remind you that not one child death by homicide is okay. These children involved a 6-month-old stabbed to death, a 13-year-old, unusual, except this 13-year-old was brutalized at the age of 3 and lived in a vegetative state until he was 13 and then died. 4- and 6-year-old, mother's boyfriend, and a father who shot his own 5-year-old and then shot himself in the head. These are real cases. Each one is compelling and needs for us to pay attention so we can learn and prevent future tragedies. Over half of the perpetrators of child abuse homicide, as the sheriff noted, had a history themselves of abuse and were in a DCFS caseload. At least half involved domestic violence. And here's a sad, alarming statistic. 26 children took their own lives. 26. However, an exponential number, perhaps up to 1,200 children, actually tried to take their own lives, but were saved, either in an ER with Narcan or whatever. But this is a critical concern, and we'll hear about our Child and Suicide Review Team recommendations today. For the first year, gunshot passed hanging as the leading cause of child suicide. Year after year, the leading cause of child suicide was hanging. And last year, for the first time, it was gunshot. And about a fifth of these suicides were by overdose, and this has more than doubled the previous 5-year average. 23% of these children who died by suicide had a family history of child welfare with DCFS, and 38% had a mental health issue. The leading cause of death by accident was motor vehicle, and it was followed by accidental overdose, which showed about an 87.5% increase from the previous year. 24 little infants in the first year of life died because of unsafe sleep practices. Totally unavoidable, totally unintentional. Children under 2 years of age continue to be the primary victims of abuse and are overrepresented in DCFS comparison to any other age group. An average of 1,000 newborns a year are identified as substance affected and are at risk of referral, are at risk and referred to DCFS. In the last year, 2 surrendered infants were born to mothers experiencing homelessness, and 2 infants died after being born to women experiencing homelessness. In 2024, last year, 73% of the 22 child abduction cases reviewed involved domestic violence. And who were the abductors? Not a stranger, not a boyfriend. 73% were by a mother who was involved in a domestic violence situation and fled with the children. As of January 2025, there are 147 active child abduction cases with DCFS. And here's great news. To date, 282 infants have been safely surrendered, and most have been placed within a loving family. Again, this is just a small, brief synopsis of some of the findings that you will see in these 3 reports and in the committee reports today. So thank you for being here. I'll bring back the sheriff, who may bring back the LAPD chief or whomever he wants, and take questions. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Deanne. We are available to answer questions related to what we're talking about today, meaning these reports and the work of this amazing collaborative group that you see sitting around the table behind me. Any questions? Yes, sir.
You mentioned all these stats and figures, but what's driving it down? Is it better work by the people who are in the DCFS, or are you getting better input from people in the public who look at a situation, see something happening to a child, and say, wait a minute, this is wrong, and calls 911?
I think it's all the above. I think from one aspect, you see this collaborative work being done by all of our departments. We are communicating and coordinating, I believe, better than we ever have before. It is about relationships. I believe from both the LA County Sheriff's Department and the Los Angeles Police Department, we're communicating more with not only our communities in different languages, but advocate groups to make sure they are aware of the resources that are available to them. So that is helping. And you'll hear a lot of that specific work being talked about today in the reports that we'll talk about as a committee.
Hesitancy, is that a problem? People normally, I don't want to interfere in another family's business or something like that. Is there a better, if you want to call it, flow of information about people saying, before, no, that's that family. It's not, no, wait a minute, I'm calling somebody, this is wrong.
In the cases that we have assisted in or been most successful in, it is people who are willing to come forward and be our ears and our eyes. So I urge the public that if you come across a situation where you believe that a child is being abused, whether you are a mandatory reporter or not, that we urge you to call. let us look into it. Let us investigate it. We have this broad coalition of different resources that we can come to bear. And there are times where we look into it and nothing's there because nothing may have happened. But there are times where your call is saving a child's life. And that is where it's absolutely critical. And I urge anybody, if there's any doubt, call us. We are the experts. We will look into it.
This is for Mr. Hochman. Every year we hear these tragic histories about children or domestic violence and everything. Now we are hearing that fentanyl is killing American in the many years. But I never heard that you guys are talking about the drug dealers here in the United States. The Mexican cartels are bringing the fentanyl from China and whatever. But where are the drug cartels here in the United States? Who are distributing that fentanyl to our children? The Department of Justice said 80% of those people who are distributing fentanyl are U.S. American people. What do you think about that?
So what I think is that the fentanyl problem is one of the greatest problems facing LA County. Is it a killer? 2 milligrams of fentanyl will kill you in 2 minutes. And like I said before, it's the #1 killer of 18 to 35-year-olds right now, not just in this county, but across the United States. So working with the sheriff, working with the police chief, working with all of law enforcement, both local, state, and federal, we're going after the fentanyl dealers at all different levels, all the way up to the cartels. We're also going to be launching a massive education effort, going after both students and their parents in the schools, whether it's the 5th grade program that the DA's office already has with Project LEAD in over 60 schools. We're going to expand that program into the middle schools and the high schools, because kids and their parents need to know that fentanyl is not about getting high. Fentanyl is about killing you. The DEA estimates that 7 out of 10 of those fake pills out there, we're talking your fake Oxycontin, your Percocets, your Vicodins, your Xanaxes, have lethal doses of fentanyl, and they are as easily to access as if you have a phone and you can get on one of these social media and just type in drug dealer, and that drug dealer will deliver you those counterfeit pills. We have to get the message out so that kids and parents understand the danger, and then we'll do our jobs in bringing the fentanyl dealers to justice.
But how about the drug dealers here in the United States? The Mexican cartels are bringing the fentanyl, but somebody has to be distributing. What is the distribution process? Where they are? Are they cartels, or are they just gang members or criminal organizations? What's the difference between the criminal organization, a gang, and a cartel?
I'll let the sheriff answer this one.
Sure. Yeah.
Or the police chief.
No, thank you for the question, because what we're dealing with is a complicated multinational criminal enterprise. The cartels are responsible for bringing the precursor chemicals and the fentanyl, in this case, into the country. The gangs act as a distribution network, and then they sub it out to low-level drug dealers who sell some to make a profit, keep some for themselves, and are users and abusers as well. So it has to be a multi-pronged approach to hold people accountable for what they're doing, for hurting other people, but it has to be done at the street level, at the mid-level, and then at the supplier level. And we're working together here like I think you won't have seen in years past to be able to hold people accountable for what they're doing. And thank you for the question, because education is a big part of this. Thank you, sir.
The only thing I'll add to what Chief McDonnell just mentioned, I know that DA Hochman and I met not too long ago with narcotic teams from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. We were one of the first agencies in the country to start going after individuals who are selling fentanyl. If we get to a location, somebody's died of an overdose, which you don't want to see, what is the difference between that and almost killing somebody intentionally? So I can assure you that we will continue that line of work, that if you are out there and you're selling fentanyl, there is a likelihood that if somebody dies from the poison you're putting on the street, you're going to be charged accordingly, and we will go after you. We've done that with the U.S. Attorney's Office in the past. DA Hochman is very enthusiastic about filing those type of cases, and we're not going to stop.
Question for Deanna, if you would. A lot of the improvement in the figures on abuse and everything else results because people are now more aware of what abuse is and how to stop it, how to take action, and be proactive. But it also comes down to the question of how many personnel are actually there at DCFS and other agencies to actually do the work once the report comes in. Is there still a problem with that, meaning you don't necessarily have the bodies to be out there to go out and do the checks and then the follow-ups to make sure the abuse actually stops?
That's a very important question. Thank you for asking. I think you answered part of it in the beginning. The reality is that we believe that any situation where a child is suspected of being hurt should be reported somewhere where there is an evaluation and an investigation and a service provided that protects the child. The multi-agency approach to this is helpful because we've been able to draw in members of different agencies in the community to respond. But right now, we are recommending that the staffing for response to these reports be enhanced and also comprehensively provided at every level of response. Some may be just sending a home visitor out, some may be just counseling, some may be those cases that come in that we may not think are serious, but once we get into them, and if we have the staff to get into them, we see that in the future this may be lethal. And frankly, because of our knowledge from reviewing these cases for all these years and documenting it, we can see that there are situations that may not receive a response until it's too late. I go back, child abuse and neglect were America's best kept secret, and to some extent that still is the case, but we bring it out of the closet, so to speak. We allow people to become involved, not feel like they're a nosy neighbor, just feel like they can make a difference and save this child. It may be just walking next door and offering help to a stressed out mother of 3 children. We had one terrible child fatality where a woman was isolated. She had 3 little children. She couldn't handle it anymore, and she threw the baby against the wall. She said, I just needed somebody to help. So those are the cases where we want to hear about them sooner, and we want somebody out there. I'm a huge advocate for home visitation and for other services that can come into the home and take a look at what the reality is. We need more. Yes, we would like to see an enhancement of the response capability to these reports.
County of Los Angeles funding, state funding, or are you going to look toward federal grants even at a time when they're looking hard at every federal dollar going out?
Yeah.
I can't have the data to say, if we apply to this grant, here's what we've done effectively. We're willing to prove it every year. That's why we deserve the funding. Do you have that argument ready in your hip pocket? That's a very good question.
Very good question. You know, we did that with the unsafe sleep. I will say that 70 babies were dying every year from co-sleeping and cluttered cribs. We did get a grant from First 5 LA Commission, and we spent 2 years just spreading the word and meeting with focus groups and coming up with the message, which is you will suffocate your child. That's the word, suffocate. It wasn't the baby will suddenly stop breathing. The baby is suffocating under a cluttered situation in the bed and when you roll over in the middle of the night. So yes, the messaging I think is a big call to action. And we don't have a federal grant to do that. There is federal money to provide more resources, and that's good, but not for the response. And we're encouraging at least the local authorities to increase that capability.
Okay, what will be your message for the Latino community, especially because women in the Latino community are always afraid to denounce to the because they might be thinking, oh, he's beating me because he loves me, but the man is committing a crime or the woman is committing a crime. What will be your message for them not to be afraid to present the claim to the local authorities, and then they will not suffer immigration consequences, especially now what's happening nationwide?
It is an existential problem now. People afraid to go to their front door, and we want to come in and help them, but they're afraid to answer the door, frankly. So what you said is important. It's something for us to consider because we believe that truly the belief that the child welfare intervention means that you are going to be punished, your children are going to be taken away, and your life will be destroyed does not speak well for being willing to make a call to the Child Protection Hotline. We want to work on that. We believe that a call to the Child Protection Hotline means a call for help, a call for resources, and a call for support. And we're going to focus on that. We'll talk about it today.
Can I talk about the immigration piece there?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to address the immigration fear, the anxiety that's out there today. I want to make sure that nobody who's out there who is looking to call the police, who needs to call the police, is fearful because of a fear of immigration enforcement. The LAPD, the Sheriff's Department, our partner agencies do not work on civil immigration enforcement, so you are not in any jeopardy by calling the police as a victim, reporting child abuse, of being turned over to immigration authorities. That's not what we do. That's not in the interest of any of us. So I want to be very clear about that, and I know I speak for my partner agencies here as well. When you look at what we're talking about here today, you see a unified front here of different agencies working together, different budgets, different everything, but unified by why we're here, which is the common denominator, child abuse, our future as a city, as a society. And when you think about, we're all a product of our experiences. We build on that foundation. And when you read the studies, adverse childhood experiences, we build on those. And as the saying goes, hurt people hurt. And you think about that, and it makes so much sense that people act out on what they've been exposed to. So let's stop the cycle of violence at its earliest stage, and we can do that only by working together, educating, doing education, intervention, prevention, and being able to help people heal who've been hurt. Now, thank you all for being here today.
Yeah, that'll be the last question because we got to get to work. We invite all of you to stay. A lot of the questions and concerns you have will probably be answered by, again, the subject matter experts that are in this room. They're an amazing group of people. But I just do want to emphasize, you hit somebody, there's no love in that. We will emphasize and reemphasize that if you need the police, I don't care what your immigration status is, you need to dial 911 and we're going to be there for you. If somebody's being abused, if there's an incident of domestic violence, any kind of crime, we are here to assist you. We are not here to deport you. We do not get involved in that type of work. So please do not hesitate to call us. Thank you very much. This part of it's complete, but you're welcome to stay and listen to the great conversation that's going to take place behind me. Thank you very much.